The milk hit her before she even saw the hand that threw it. Cold, sticky, liquid exploded across her hair, her clothes, and her backpack as laughter erupted from the children surrounding her. Mira froze in the middle of the schoolyard, heart pounding, breath trapped in her chest. The world spun, not because of the milk dripping from her eyelashes, but because this was the third time this week they had singled her out. Every time she begged silently for it to stop, and every time it only grew worse. But today, something inside her cracked not loudly, but in a quiet, breaking glass kind of way that only she could hear. Before we go further, if this story touches your heart even a little, please like, share, and comment your feelings below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us bring healing and meaningful stories to life. Thank you for being here. Myra wiped her face with shaking hands, blinking away the sting in her eyes. The three girls responsible for her humiliation walked away laughing, their voices echoing through the yard. She stood alone, trembling, wanting to disappear, wanting to scream, wanting to run. But mostly, she wanted someone, anyone, to care. At 12 years old, Mira had already learned that loneliness could be louder than any insult. She walked home slowly, hoping the wind would dry her clothes before she reached her mother, who worked long hours and worried far too much already. As she followed the quiet dirt road, she heard soft footsteps behind her. She turned, startled, expecting one of the bullies, but instead found a thin, scruffy, stray dog standing a few feet away. His ribs were visible beneath his fur, his ears drooped, and yet his eyes were full of something she hadn't seen in a long time: gentleness. He approached her cautiously, tail low but hopeful, as though sensing her pain like a silent whisper only he could hear. Mira knelt slowly, extending her hand, and the dog nudged his nose against her palm before resting his head on her knee. She let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. "Are you lost, too?" she whispered. That day, without knowing it, Mira found a friend. She named him Shadow because he followed her like one. Shadow walked beside her all the way home, sat by her porch until she went inside, and returned the next morning as she left for school. For the first time in years, Myra didn't feel entirely alone. She told Shadow everything, what the girls said to her, how she felt invisible, how she wished she were braver. Shadow listened, pressing his head gently against her when her voice cracked, but the bullies didn't stop. In fact, when they noticed the stray dog waiting for her each afternoon, they mocked her even more. They threatened to chase him away. They shouted insults. One even threw a rock in his direction. But Shadow didn't run far. He always came back, always stood his ground, as if he had chosen her, and nothing could make him let go. Myra, however, did break. One afternoon, after a particularly cruel day, when the girls cornered her in the bathroom and poured soap in her hair, she sat behind the school building, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Shadow appeared moments later, as if he had tracked her heartbeat instead of her footsteps. He nudged her cheek, whining softly until she wrapped her arms around him and cried into his fur. His warmth grounded her. His presence made her believe maybe not everything would always hurt. The real challenge came weeks later. Word spread through the neighborhood about a stray dog roaming the area. Some parents complained, and animal control arrived with nets and trucks. Mira panicked, the moment she heard. She ran all the way home from school to find Shadow, but he wasn't by the gate, as usual. Her chest tightened. She searched the streets, calling his name until her voice grew hoarse. Eventually, she found him cornered near the old marketplace, 2 officers approaching with poles. Shadow growled, backing away, terrified, without thinking. Mira ran in front of him, arms wide, tears flooding her eyes. "Don't take him. He's not dangerous. He's mine, please. He's all I have." The officers hesitated. She was a small girl, soaked in fear and desperation. One of them sighed and lowered his pole. He crouched down and listened as Mira explained everything, how Shadow protected her, how he waited for her every day, how he never harmed anyone. The man softened, telling her that if she could get her mother's permission and register the dog, they wouldn't take him. Mira didn't wait a second. She grabbed Shadow's collarless neck and ran home, tears streaming down her face. Her mother opened the door, startled to see Mira crying and clutching a stray dog. After hearing the full story, she looked at Shadow the way he leaned protectively toward Mira, the way Mira held him like a lifeline and sighed with a tremble of her own. "All right," she whispered. "If he's your friend, then he stays." Mira hugged her mother with one arm and Shadow with the other, her heart swelling with gratitude. But the challenges didn't end there. The bullies found out that Shadow had been saved and now officially belonged to Mira. Their jealousy grew. One afternoon, they surrounded her again, this time near an empty field behind the school. They pushed her, mocked her, threw dirt at her. Myra curled inward, bracing for the familiar humiliation. Before they could finish their cruelty, a deep growl ripped through the air. Shadow stood between Mira and the girls, all fur raised, teeth. The girls froze, fear replacing arrogance. Shadow didn't move, didn't advance, didn't even bark. He simply stood there, unwavering, a shield stronger than anything Mira had ever known. The girls backed away, stumbling over each other, and ran off screaming. Shadow immediately turned to Myra, licking her hands, whining softly as if asking if she was all right. In that moment, Myra understood something powerful. She didn't need to be fearless. She just needed one heart loyal enough to stand beside her. Shadow gave her the confidence to report the bullying. With her mother's help and the school's intervention, the girls were disciplined. Slowly, the torment stopped. Mira learned to speak up, to raise her gaze, to believe that she deserved respect. Shadow continued to walk her to school every day, loved by neighbors and welcomed by her teachers. Where once stood a scared, lonely girl, now walked someone braver, not unbreakable, but rebuilding. Years passed. Mira grew into a strong young woman, and Shadow, though older and slower, never left her side. The bond they created, born from pain, nurtured through loyalty, became a reminder that love can appear where you least expect it. Sometimes the world breaks you so that something beautiful can enter through the cracks. And if anyone ever asked Mira who changed her life, she always gave the same answer: a stray dog who found me when I had no one. If this story moved you, touched your heart, or made you believe even a little in kindness and second chances, please like, share, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that heal, inspire, and remind us that compassion is everywhere, sometimes even in the eyes of a stray dog. Thank you for listening. Let your heart stay soft. Let kindness lead.